So joining me now is Marcia Holland. She's running in Utah State House District number 73. Apparently they got a lot of House districts in Utah. And running against a really bad guy. His name is Phil Lyman. We're going to talk about him in a second. But first, Marcia, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. First of all, you're unaffiliated. You're not a Democrat, right?
That's correct. I'm unaffiliated.
And is there a Democrat in the race?
No, there is not.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, why unaffiliated?
In the state of Utah, the Republican candidate tends to do better. And in this particular race and this particular time, I felt like running unaffiliated was the right place to be. People are tired of the partisanship that goes on. We've running a grassroots effort. We've done an excellent job. We've outraised our opponent 4-1, a Republican candidate.
Wow.
It's record breaking. And so we've been able to broaden the agenda and move away from the partisanship and actually have a broader agenda that represents the people who are of District 73.
So this district is interesting on a couple of grounds, but one of them is that it has both Grand Staircase Escalante National Monument and Bears Ears National Monument, and those are the two that Trump is basically privatizing. So how's that playing out in that district?
Public lands are a big issue here for many people. The extraction industry is right on our doorstep. But the important thing to remember here in District 73 is that the public lands issues that most of the nation are familiar with are actually overshadowing the most important issues in our district. And that has to do with infrastructure, clean water to drink, roads, healthcare, and education. These are the most important issues, and we have developed our slogan, People First, to reflect that. But it doesn't mean public lands aren't important to the people who live here. And we are committed to making sure that our public land access and traditional use of the land continues. This is very much a part of our campaign.
So what water issues do you guys have in that district?
Water issues? Well, in several places, the water is undrinkable. Children go to school smelling like sulfur. That is because the water near White Mesa on the Mountain Ute Reservation is tainted. Also, they have a high cancer rate. It's right near the uranium mill, the last one in the country that's just about ready to reopen. We also have places on the Navajo Reservation, Utah Navajo Reservation, where the water is tainted by arsenic and undrinkable. Most of the houses where I've canvassed and gone door to door, people have half of their house on the entry is full of water containers because they bring in their water. The rest of the water that comes out of the spigot is undrinkable. Halchita, which is in the Aljedo chapter, hasn't had fresh running water out of their tap for 3 years. And these are issues that my opponent as a county commissioner has an opportunity to actually address. And in 6 years, those issues have not been addressed.
Yeah, this is what frustrates me about the elite in Washington and New York. They don't know anyone that doesn't have running water. They don't know anyone that smells of sulfur because of the issues in their water. They don't understand those problems at all. And so they're perplexed why you guys care about those things when you should be celebrating the tax cut that went to the rich mainly. Are people celebrating the tax cut in that area? I don't know, maybe they are. Are they or no?
I think if you have a portfolio, you might benefit from it. And if you're an investor, some of our politicians in Utah actually are the people who support them and get them into office are supported by those people that you speak of. Oftentimes they're from the extraction industry. And this is the other reason why we are focused on unaffiliated. The people who are supporting me are from my community, they're from my counties, they're from my state, and they're actually from across the country, people who appreciate what is here, the beauty, the landscape, and the use of the land. So, yeah, I think that that this is an important thing to bring to light. Who is supporting our politicians from Washington, and who is supporting and putting into office our politicians in Utah?
So let's talk about Phil Lyman a little bit, your opponent. So you mentioned the Navajo earlier. I was kind of stunned by what he said about the Navajo. What did he say, Marcia?
If you're talking about the Facebook post that came out about the Navajo, we must keep the Navajo down. That was, in all fairness, taken out of context, but it was said in a county commission meeting. More importantly, people can decide, voters can decide what they think about my opponent. But I think that his record will show, with just a slight bit of investigation, where his favor lies. If you go into San Juan County, it's divided. It's a divided county. But again, that's for voters to decide.
So I'm curious, just because it appears that he said Navajo lost the war and should have no role in local land management. So I'm genuinely curious. How was it taken out of context?
Oh, I'm not familiar with that particular quote from Mr. Lyman.
Oh, okay.
And so I'll just leave it at that. And I'll let people decide for themselves what that comment may mean.
Okay, because I can't figure it out. I mean, he apparently says he and his and other white officials are the real victims. I'm confused by all this. It looked like that was a mugshot we just showed. Did he get convicted or something?
Yeah, indeed. That was his recapture canyon ride. He broke federal law by riding his ATV into federal lands, and was convicted in court. He was lucky, I think, to get away with a misdemeanor, but he is still on probation now during this election. And his other comments are really his own to make. He has opportunities to help others, and those are his opportunities that he has chosen. And we have to wonder why he makes those choices. And going into a state house, I have some worries, and it's motivated me to run. Why someone would make those choices, and what kind of choices they would make in the state house.
Marcia, what did you do before getting into this race?
I'm a historian, full-time historian. I'm a business owner in and near Bryce Canyon National Park and the Grand Staircase. I also work part-time in the schools and work on the hospital board. So, in our area, you wear many hats, and I do.
And so, just out of curiosity again, what was the business that you ran?
Oh, we had a campground business in the town of Cannonville in Garfield County. We sold that in 2014 and moved into guiding, small guide service. We take people into the national park and also guide them on the Grand Staircase occasionally.
So that's really different than politics. Again, like, to what? All of a sudden, like, was there a turning point? Was there a point where you were like, yeah, no, I'm going to get into politics?
Yeah, I was looking at the opportunity. I was looking at the people who were going to be running in this. We had someone who's retired, Mike Noel, who was in this office for 16 years. And I saw what he also was able to do in our counties. And he did some good legislation that helped rural counties. But by the end of his 16-year term, we see that he also has been able to benefit from his time in office. And looking at the next person in line, Mr. Lyman, who's actually has a conviction and is on probation, made me think that the people in our district who are hardworking, fair-minded, and they follow the rules, really deserve someone who better to represent them than someone whose choice was to break the law to prove his point. So that was really my main motivational reason for running. And it's been quite a learning experience. I've been involved in the community at large and regionally, and I'm familiar with a lot of the issues that rural Utahns face.
All right, and then wanted to ask you one other thing, which is, how are you outraising him 4-1? That is unusual, especially against a Republican.
I think, the answer to that, I was actually fairly surprised to hear that when we just turned in our financial records to the state, that we had outraised a Republican candidate 4-1. This really is a reflection of how people are feeling about partisan politics now, and they see what our opportunities are now with someone who has a broad agenda, who has a moderate platform, and who really believes that people should come first.
All right. Website is marshaholland2018.com. We'll put the links to donate and volunteer in the description box below. If you're watching later on YouTube and Facebook, maybe you could expand that lead you've got on them. Marsha Holland, thank you so much for joining us.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Like what you see? I hope so. Thank you. So click the subscribe button below and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from Rebel HQ.